There's only one way that you can change a nation in one generation, and it's only through education. Anybody that has education, anybody that has information, anybody that has knowledge becomes almighty, all-powerful.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Today, I have the pleasure, the honor of sitting down with former President Vicente Fox. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
My pleasure, and thank you for your invitation.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you. So, on the show, we like to reverse engineer world-class individuals and try to distill some principles for people that are watching or listening. So, before we do that, I want to kind of rewind the clock and talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now, because it's an incredible story. So take us back, President Fox. Let's say 9 years old, 10 years old. What was life like for you growing up?
Well, I was born in this great place, San Cristobal, which is an old hacienda where my grandfather came as a migrant back in 1895. And he started like a night watchman, and he ended up owning the hacienda by himself. We've been there for 5 generations.
He's a businessman.
Yes. Yeah. But he was just a migrant without a penny in his pocket when he came. I was born there, went to school there. I've been Jesuit schooling for all my life, since kindergarten up until university. Things I learned there is that the shortcut to happiness is doing for others. It has been my great conviction, and that's been the guidance of my life. It's been my motto. Thereon, I went to work with the Coca-Cola Company for 16 years, studying riding a truck and selling Coke through mom and pop stores all around Mexico. And from there, I became president of the company at 32 and CEO, 32 and CEO for Mexico and Latin America. But then I decided to resign because I was not getting what I've been looking for all my life, which is joy in your heart, which is happiness, which is feeling good. And so I went back to the farm to work together with the people there, farming, harvesting, and doing a lot of wonderful, great activities like milking cows with your hands. After those 15 years, which was my third quarter, 1 quarter in school, 1 quarter with the Coca-Cola Company, 1 quarter back in small family businesses, and then again, in my search for happiness, I decided to go politics. And I started as a grassroots in my party. And then I was congressman. Then I was governor of my state. And finally, president of Mexico. Career of 16 years also. So that was my 4th quarter. Wow. I'm on extra time now. I'm on my
We're
5th
overtime,
quarter.
yeah. 5th quarter.
I'm working for the foundations.
That's awesome. I want to go back into the Coca-Cola portion of this story because this is why I love the show, because we talk to people who most of the time they weren't born with much, and they found guiding principles along the way, things that they decided to live by that other people didn't decide to live by, that allowed you to live a life of freedom. Because that's really the point, right? It's not about money. It's not about, worldly success. It's just about the freedom to choose what you want to do. So you made it to the top of Coca-Cola, and from there you could have gone and done whatever else. But you had the freedom to choose to go back to doing something like farming for the next 15 years. Yes. What do you think it was that allowed you to go from driving a truck in your early 20s to being 32 years old, CEO of all of Latin America for Coca-Cola?
Yeah, if I need to resume, it's leadership. Leadership that you have to discover, because we all human lives have that attribute. We were gifted with. Unfortunately, many of us go in mediocrity through life and never go within and ask yourself the key question. What are you in this life for? And that will take you to discover that power within we all have, which is leadership. Now, once you discover leadership, then you must have purpose, heroic purpose. You must know where you're heading and how you're going to get there. And so defining your purpose is a most important thing for life, purpose for life, purpose in the family, purpose in the sports you practice, purpose in the business. As a matter of fact, purpose is a universal, powerful concept and word. And every single thing we do in life has to have a purpose. Even if we go to the bathroom, it does have a purpose. So you have to define that. And then you define purpose, heroic purpose, and you're on the move. You find that you're almighty and all powerful. With leadership and a cause or a purpose, you move on. But always, purpose needs performance. Because no use of having purpose but not accomplishing great things. So you must make things happen. And that's what took me on all these 4 stages in my life to reach the top, coming from the very bottom.
Multiple times. In multiple industries and completely things that's what's so awesome about the story is that it was not just you didn't go conquer Coca-Cola and then go back to farming and then go, I'm going to go work for Pepsi now. You know, it was farming and then it was politics.
You know, many times you have to go in your life through corazonadas. This is what your heart tells you. Many times it's more powerful, more efficient to have corazonadas than to have great plans and reasonable plans and detailed plans. Sometimes you have to go with your heart to where your heart tells you to go. And this is my motto, the sense that I already mentioned. If every time I have done something for somebody else, the poor campesinos in my hacienda or the hacienda of my grandfather, the poor people on the neighborhood or in any place, that's where been my motto, and that's where I move. And if I have found happiness in that, I just repeat and look for more, do more. And that's why I became president, because I thought that I could do much more for people than just staying on business and private sector.
What did you think the differences were in moving up the ladder, let's say, in a corporate setting versus a political setting? What were the differences between those two?
At the very end, it's basically the same. And in all cases, you need information, education, knowledge to perform. So that's a common denominator, to perform. You need knowledge, you need education, you need to be ready to compete on the arena. That's why I've been saying there's only one way that you can change a nation in one generation, and it's only through education. So anybody that has education, anybody that has information, anybody that has knowledge becomes almighty, all powerful.
What's the catalyst for taking the knowledge and actually applying it, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that have knowledge, or they're almost like information sponges or junkies, where they just collect information, but they never do anything about it, or they never implement it or apply it or take action. And you're clearly somebody who worked very hard on education and information, but then you took that and then you turned it into something that you could actually apply and do positive things for the society with. How do you start doing that? How do you reconcile that?
Well, again, I think it's the same thing. It's if you have a dream, or in my definition, if you have purpose, and you define your purpose, and that purpose you associate with the better of everybody else, then you have where to go.
It's bigger than you.
Yes, but how do you get there is where information education comes to be. Use the same example. I was feeling that I had everything I needed when I finished my university, when I had my degree. I thought, I made it. Now I have knowledge. I know how to do things. But I started working in Coca-Cola and starting from the bottom, riding the truck, and every day was learning. So practice gives you as much education and as much learning as you get in a university. As a matter of fact, when I finished with the Coca-Cola Company, I evaluated then that it was much more valuable to me, the experience of my career in Coca-Cola, than my 5 years in university. And but then I went from the global corporation Coca-Cola Company to the small family businesses, farming, manufacturing Western boots, freezing vegetables to export. Then again, I said at the end, maybe I learned more on the small businesses where you have to get the payroll every Saturday to pay to your people, the few that work for you. And that experience was as much as or maybe superior to the experience in the global company. So again, it's learning for life. You never abandon learning. I'm 80 now. I'm on the 8th floor, and I learn every day new things. And so again, information, education through practical learning or through education, formal education, or through experience, everyone counts and everyone is good.
You clearly, throughout your career, have gotten very good at selling, the ability to sell something, whether it's Coca-Cola products or selling an idea to a nation of people to win an election and do good for the country and things like that. Was sales a skill that you ever really worked on consciously, or was it something that kind of came naturally to you?
I think it's natural. We all have to sell ourselves, our own person, to be successful in life, to get a job, to be a cook, to be a farmer.
Get a wife.
Whatever it is, it's the same thing. But to me personally, the drive that moved me to what I have been these 80 years, it was that profound need to be happy, to discover my purpose, and to work for it. And that's why I love the Founding Fathers' dream and the American dream. It's you're on your own. You do it for yourself. You don't wait from government or from your corporation or from anybody else or religion to tell you what you're going to be or how you're going to get there. So it's on your own. Different to Latin America, different to Mexico right now, where government gives away money, gives away things for free, and you don't appreciate it. And you never learn and get to be a full capacity person if you don't do it by yourself. So that's to me a principle that I learned in the Coca-Cola Company, that I learned from the United States, that I learned that yes, there is an American dream, but you have to work for it.
Yes.
You have to get it for yourself, that American dream.
If you don't work, it stays a dream, right? It'll never happen. With this kind of coming to an end here, I want to ask you just a couple of quick pieces of advice for somebody listening who maybe is on quarter one, if you will, of their journey. What would you say maybe to yourself at that time, or to somebody listening who's at that point? How would you reverse engineer a world-class career and distill that to somebody listening or watching right now?
Again, two ways. One, you do the exercise yourself of going within. Ask you serious questions What do you want to be in life? What are you in this life for? Why you were born in United States or in Mexico? Why, and why? Why do I practice this religion? So asking you the questions will take you within to define many things. Once you discover who you are and once you discover that enormous gift we all got from leadership, you're almighty, you're all powerful. So do that. The other way to do it is what I call St. Paul, San Pablo. He fell from the horse when he was running at high speed. And when he felt, he reacted and he said, Jesus Christ, what am I doing as a tax collector? That's not my life. I should do something different. Or like Nelson Mandela, he spent 25 years in prison. He had the time to reflect, to think about himself and to think about South Africa. And when he comes out of jail, he looks almighty. You see this real video of him, and he seems to be floating when he comes out of jail. And you see his eyes, and he has that determination. You saw on his vision that he knew where he was heading and what was he going to do for South Africa. And he just changed everything. He defeated the British Empire. He defeated the apartheid, and he helped to create a nation. So do that exercise yourself. Do that exercise yourself. No matter if you're poor, no matter if you have not gone to school, you find leaders everywhere. We are all leaders, and we're leaders all the time of our life. But we just have to be aware. We have to discover that leadership, and then you go. You let it go through corazonadas or through planning or through just things that you think about that day. You move. So every day, gift yourself with 5 minutes. Go within. Same questions. And you will come out of those 5 minutes in the morning and you are a conqueror all day. You're going to attaining all your goals and all your purposes. Do that exercise. Gift yourself with those 5 minutes every day, and you're almighty.
President Fox, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. This has been a really, really big treat for me. So
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure. Thank you and good luck.